Hello, my name is Leon Boroditsky. I'm a tree surgeon supervisor 2 for the City of Los Angeles in the Department of Recreation and Parks Forestry Division. Today I'm going to be presenting on our tree inventory, and the name of the talk is The Importance of Trees, Managing the Health and Diversity of a Community Forest. The City of Los Angeles has over 4 million people, making it the second most populous city in the United States. It covers 469 square miles. We have 15 council districts. It's the historic home of the Gabrielino, Tongva, and Keys people. It was claimed for Spain in 1542 and founded in 1781 under the Spanish governor of Felipe the Neve. Our department has over 16,000 acres of parkland, over 550 parks and sections of parks with 187 recreation centers. We have venues like the Cabrillo Aquarium. We have beaches and lakes, campgrounds, child care centers, sleepover and day camps, dog parks. We have 12 golf courses, the Griffith Observatory, Greek theater where we have concert venue. We have historical sites, museums, senior citizen centers, skate parks, swimming pools, and universal access playgrounds. We run emergency shelters in disasters. We have cooling centers. During COVID, we ran homeless shelters and daycare programs for children. We have a program called Safer at Parks. It's alternative learning centers and after-school programming. We have programs called Class Parks and Summer Night Lights. These programs take place in our disadvantaged communities and help mitigate gang activity. We provide free swim lessons under a program called Swim LA. And we also provide youth leadership and job training programs. The forestry division is extremely small, given that we have over 16,000 acres of parkland and over 135,000 trees. So we have 20 people in the field working on these trees. We have 5 pest management workers, 3 managerial supervisors, 1 inspector, 1 equipment operator, 1 full-time clerical and 2 part-time clerical, and 1 mechanic to work on our saws. This talk is going to be about trees. I'm a dendrophile. I hope you're a dendrophile too. Trees provide many benefits. One of the obvious ones is shade. Trees modify climate and conserve energy in 3 principal ways. Shading reduces the amount of radiant energy absorbed and stored by hardscape surfaces, thereby reducing the heat island effect. Transpiration converts moisture to water vapor, thereby cooling the air by using solar energy that would otherwise result in heating of the air. In the winter, trees reduce the wind speed and the movement of outside air to interior spaces. As well, they shelter structures, reducing heat loss from them. Trees clean air. They provide us with oxygen and they remove particulate matter. Urban trees improve air quality in 5 fundamental ways. By the absorption of gaseous pollutants such as ozone, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide through the leaf surfaces. Reduction of emissions from power generation by reducing energy consumption. Increase of oxygen levels through photosynthesis, transpiration of water and shade provision, resulting in lower local air temperatures, thereby reducing ozone, and the interception of particulate matter. Trees also reduce stormwater runoff. Rainfall interception by trees reduces the amount of stormwater that enters collection and treatment facilities during large storm events. Healthy urban trees reduce the amount of runoff and pollutant loading in receiving waters in 3 primary ways. Leaves and branch surfaces intercept and store rainfall, thereby reducing runoff volume and delaying the onset of peak flows. Root growth and decomposition increase the capacity and rate of soil infiltration of rainfall and reduce overland flow. Tree canopies reduce soil erosion and surface flows by diminishing the impact of raindrops on bare soil. Trees sequester carbon directly through growth and sequestration of carbon dioxide in wood, foliar biomass, and soil. Indirectly by lowering the demand for heating and air conditioning, thereby reducing the emissions associated with electric power generation and natural gas consumption. Trees provide wildlife habitat. Park trees provide critical habitat for wildlife and increase landscape connectivity, allowing for animal movement and dispersal. Trees provide beauty and aesthetics. Trees provide beauty in the urban landscape, privacy and screening, improved human health, a sense of comfort and place, and habitat for urban wildlife. Trees provide well-being. Trees reduce stress. Healthy trees equals healthy people. Trees help patients recover more quickly and using less medication. So if they have a site of greenery from their hospital room, they again recover quicker using less pain medication. It improves learning and concentration in school. Trees increase property values. They reduce crime. They make communities more livable, increase economic activity, and many, many more intangible benefits. The benefits of an inventory. It's a data-driven management. It reduces risk and liability and increases public safety. Inventories justify budgets, improve tree health, increased efficiency. They facilitate short-term and long-term planning, help you determine the value of an urban forest, and analyze the environmental benefits. You need to know what you have before you can manage it. The Department of Recreation and Parks started our inventory in 2004 using a Trimble backpack collection unit. You can see them pictured here. They were heavy and cumbersome, collected limited data. We completed about 8,400 sites using this method, and we were focusing on special trees. In 2008, we acquired Davy Resource Group's TreeKeeper 7, which is both a tree or asset inventory and work management software. In 2012, we were awarded a CAL FIRE grant totaling $275,000. With this grant, we added another 53,000 sites to our inventory, and we are now currently using TreeKeeper 8. TreeKeeper 8 is a powerful system. It helps you manage various asset inventories. It's a centralized collaboration tool. You can have unlimited data records. The attribute fields are completely customizable, and it's got flexible search options. It's a proactive system. You can adjust user permissions, work planning, call tracking, comprehensive reporting, and calculate your ecosystem benefits. It's a mobile system. You can manage all data in the field, coordinate field work, attach photos, location-aware interface, and mobile device friendly. You're able to run it off a cell phone or a tablet. CAL FIRE grant. The program under which we applied for a CAL FIRE grant was called the California Climate Investments Urban Forestry Program. The grants are funded through the state's efforts to offset greenhouse gases. Projects must result in a net GHG benefit. They must provide environmental services and provide cost-effective solutions to the needs of urban communities. Net GHG benefits include, but are not limited to, increased water supply, clean air and water, reduced energy use, flood and storm water management, recreation, urban revitalization, improved public health, producing useful products such as biofuel, clean energy, and high quality wood. Some of the common projects in CAL FIRE grants are tree inventories, urban forest management plans, tree planting projects, urban wood recycling and reuse, workforce development, and canopy cover surveys. In 2000, we applied for our CAL FIRE grant under the 2017-18 California Climate Investment Urban Forestry Program. In the end of 2017, we started our application for a grant to complete our inventory. Concept proposals were due on February 26th of 2018. We were invited back for the full proposal. Besides completing our inventory, we proposed to plant 680 trees in disadvantaged communities, hold training on inventory and structural pruning, hold volunteer tree planting and tree care events, and produce reports and outreach material. We identified the parks for planting by using a program called Cal EnviroScreen. The version we used was 3.0, and this gives us access to the census tract data. We also had access through AB 1550 census tract data as well. Cal EnviroScreen 3.0 looked at 21 different indicators. Some of those are ozone, PM 2.5, pesticide use, lead risk, traffic impacts, hazardous waste, education, poverty, unemployment, asthma, low birth weight, and cardiovascular disease. We used both the iTree planting program and the Air Resource Board calculator to determine the greenhouse gas offset from the tree planting. You take the trees and you put them into one calculator, the iTree planting calculator. That will give you a set of data that you then plug into the Air Resource Board, which gives you your net GHG offset from the program. The calculations are run for a 40-year period and assume a 10% loss. We added an extra 10%, and so for an overall assumption of 20% loss. Most of these calculators use a model based on shading structures and offsetting the use of air conditioning. Since our trees were open space trees in parks, we didn't get the benefit provided by shading of structures. And I would say that these assumptions are kind of open to debate. The minimum data collection for CAL FIRE inventory is you have to capture species, the geolocation, a site ID number, a height, and the diameter of breast height, the overall condition, maintenance needs, clearance requirements, hardscape damage, overhead utilities, growth space, space size, and any additional notes. We also collected foliage and wood condition, primary defect, any observations, secondary maintenance tasks, pests and pathogens, invasive shot hole borer presence, further inspection, and whether the tree is protected, a heritage tree, or a historic tree. We were awarded the grant in the summer of 2018. Quote for the grant is, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now." That's attributed as an old Chinese proverb. CAL FIRE awarded us $1,312,500. Our match was $450,000 for a total of over $1.75 million grant. We assumed we had around 300,000 trees, and that was based on trees per acre from a previous inventory. We went out to bid for a contractor to do our inventory. Davy Resource Group was awarded the contract. which was fortunate since we used their software and work management system. The grant was to run through March of 2022 with all deliverables due June of 2022. But due to COVID, we extended the grant by a year. We partnered with the Los Angeles Conservation Corps. They oversaw our tree planting and tree care. All trees received supplemental watering, mulch, and repairs to stakes twice a month from June through October for 3 years. We also partnered with City Plants, the mayor's tree planting nonprofit, to oversee the volunteer tree planting events. 2/3 of our trees were planted by volunteers. We held a Winter Wonderland event, Arbor Day, Earth Day, Tu B'Shvat, and Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service events. We tracked the grant a number of ways. Our previous grant from 2012 to 14, we were running behind schedule, so I wanted to make sure we were on schedule for this grant. So we followed the amount of trees inventoried based on an estimated 288,900 trees, but this proved to be not a good way to track the grant since we didn't have that many trees. So we also tracked the grant by the parks completed, and this, as you can see, was a little bit better way of tracking the grant, but not quite as good as doing it as acres completed. And by following the acres completed, we got a lot closer to what our completion date was going to be, which was March 1st of 2021. We completed all of the parks, and we ended up with 161,724 sites. So we were really proud to finish our grant, come in under budget and early. This was the email that we received for when we completed the grant, and we were very, very happy, like I said, to come in early and under budget. So we ended up with 138,455 trees and 13,294 available planting sites. This gave us a 91.2 stocking level. We have 498 unique species, making it one of the most diverse urban forests in the world. Our number one tree in our inventory is a coast live oak, also known as a Quercus agrifolia. This is a native oak to the coastal regions in California, and that makes up 17.2% of our inventory. That was followed by Canary Island pine, which was 5.5% of our inventory, and the western sycamore, our native sycamore here in the western part of the United States, making up 5.3% of our inventory. 28% of our trees are less than 8 inches in diameter, and 20.4% of our trees are larger than 24 inches in diameter, making this an established resource. 83% of the trees are in fair or better condition. Park trees provide an estimated 1,139 acres of canopy cover. To date, parks are storing 108,215 tons of carbon in woody and foliar biomass, and 52.6% of our park trees are susceptible to identified emerging pests and disease threats, including defoliating moths, sudden oak death, and oak wilt. 40.6% of park trees are susceptible to existing pests and pathogens, including eucalyptus longhorn borer, gold-spotted oak borer, invasive shot-hole borer, and diseases such as Bactrosphaeria fungus and Xylella bacteria. To replace the 138,445 park trees with trees of equivalent size, species, and condition, would cost over $476.9 million. Many benefits of trees currently cannot be accurately quantified. Trees provide incalculable benefits to natural ecosystems, economies, and human health and welfare. iTree program currently quantifies the benefits of trees that trees provide to air quality, stormwater runoff reduction, and carbon sequestration. Annually, LA Park trees cumulatively benefit the community, totaling in $690,741, averaging $4.99 per tree. That's 4.4 million gallons of runoff avoided, 32 tons of particulates removed, and 1,083 tons of carbon directly sequestered. Overall, Los Angeles park trees are an established resource in fair condition with an established age distribution. With proactive management, planning, and new replacement plantings, the benefits from this resource will continue to increase as young trees mature. Some of the recommendations from our inventory are to provide structural pruning for young trees and regular pruning for all trees with potential targets. It's also recommended that we protect existing trees and manage risk with regular assessments, take proactive measures to mitigate structural and age-related defects, prioritize replacement plantings for trees that are removed, use available planting sites to improve diversity, enrich the character of the parks, and increase benefits. Also recommended to identify additional planting sites for trees and use the largest stature trees possible where space allows, increase genus and species diversity in new plantings to reduce reliance on most prevalent species, and review age distribution of key species and consider ongoing plantings to maintain the benefit and importance value. Another recommendation is to continue to promote wildlife habitat by protecting dead and hardwood trees in wildland areas where they are low risk to public, and also follow best management practices in preparing for and dealing with pests and pathogens, and place emphasis on monitoring for identified threats to the coast live oak, the Quercus agrifolia. Pictured here is the gold-spotted oak borer, which is slowly making its way through Southern California and taking out large stature coast live oaks. Another recommendation is to use aerial monitoring in hard to access parts of parks to assess species diversity and vegetative health, and to reduce the risk of wildfire and locate invasive species, pests, or diseases. It's also recommended that we maintain the inventory database, including tracking tree growth and condition during regular inspections and pruning cycles. We started our inventory grant by collecting in Elysian Park, which is our third largest park, one of the city's oldest parks as well. Elysian means relating to or characteristic of heaven or paradise. It also has the Chavez Ravine Arboretum, which is the oldest arboretum in the city of Los Angeles, and it's also the home of Dodger Stadium. We did a drone flyover of 183 acres of Elysian Park to collect aerial imagery where physical access was limited by the terrain and other conditions. Using a multispectral camera, the drone captured infrared, red edge aerial imagery. Analysis of the imagery, specifically the differences in light reflectance, illustrates variations and reductions in the plant pigment chlorophyll, which cannot be seen by the human eye. These variations of plant pigment chlorophyll can be correlated with canopy health. Stressors that may result in lower chlorophyll levels include drought, nutrient deficiency, pest infestations, and disease outbreaks. Infrared red edge images produced from the drone flyover provide a snapshot of the current condition of tree and shrub canopy within the flight path. Managers can use the imagery to better understand the condition of trees in inaccessible areas, monitor changes in canopy over time, and estimate fuel loads and potential fire danger. Many of these areas are difficult to access due to the steep slopes and or thick brush. The areas are largely unmaintained, and less than 85% of the trees are provided with supplemental irrigation. The areas are characterized as naturalized habitat dominated by mostly non-native species such as acacia, eucalyptus, and ailanthus. Prolonged periods of drought have resulted in decline in tree and vegetative health. The analysis from the drone data indicate that approximately 26% of all above ground vegetated cover are in dead or dying state. Data from the ground-based inventory taken within the drone study area identified 9.2% of trees to be in critical or dead condition. Therefore, the drone data indicates a higher percentage of vegetation in dead or dying state when compared to the ground-based data. Additional information collected during the ground-based data inventory provide a more detailed assessment of these areas, including 69.4% of the trees exhibit structural problems, 8.1% show general stress or low vigor not attributed to pest or disease, 3.6% show signs of disease, 1.2% show symptoms of Prolifica shot-hole borer, and evidence of other pests indicating sucking insects, wood borers, and defoliators. The drone assessment is a reflection, quite literally, of internal plant stress, while the ground-based data collection is based on the external appearance of the trees. Understandably, the different methodologies result in variations in the findings that should be assumed to be complementary rather than contradictory. A tree that appears healthy to the human eye may still be experiencing stress, which can be made visible through infrared red edge spectrometry. Based on condition ratings alone, 71% of the data collected by the ground-based inventory agreed with the drone-acquired assessment. But when visual observations of structural defects, signs of pests and diseases, and signs of stress collected during the ground-based assessment were reviewed, approximately 85% of the drone findings were corroborated with the ground-based inventory. Because the drone imagery can detect more subtle tree signals, the use of this technology can be a valuable precursor to the ground-based inspection. Vegetation health assessment maps can help prioritize tree management activities, including removals, structural pruning, irrigation adjustments, pest control, fertilization, or other alterations in maintenance. In addition, the imagery and data acquired from the drone assessment can help managers better understand and address fuel loads and fuel loading and fuel management related to wildfire risk. Some species found in the drone study are highly flammable due to traits that result in large amount of litter, ladder fuels, and peeling bark, plant, and oil resins. Locations with significant dead or dying vegetation should be further inspected to estimate the extent and severity of damage that would result from a potential wildfire. In addition to fuel loads, factors affecting wildfire severity and outcome include aspect, terrain, surrounding land cover, structures, and other sources of fuel and combustion. Griffith Park is one of the largest municipally owned parks in the United States and covers over 4,300 acres. Much of the land was donated by the infamous Griffith J. Griffith in 1896. As part of the eastern Santa Monica mountain range, Griffith Park has rugged terrain and natural areas consisting of chaparral, oak and black walnut woodland, canyons, and caves. The park is home to the Griffith Observatory, the Los Angeles Zoo, the Greek Theater, and the world-famous Hollywood sign. The park boasts many hiking and equestrian trails through its rugged terrain. As well, Griffith Park has golf courses, merry-go-round, train and pony rides, sports fields, tennis courts, picnic areas, and children's play areas. Many of these areas are difficult to access due to the steep slopes and/or thick brush. The areas are largely unmaintained, with vegetation that consists of 44.2% of grass or low-lying vegetation, 39.6% shrubs, and 16.1% trees. We also flew a drone, the same drone that we flew in Elysian Park over 1,425 acres of Griffith Park. And it was the same drone with the same camera. However, the software updated and we were able to collect more data and more meaningful data. We did the same with as Elysian with the vegetation, with the health of the vegetation. So 13.9% of all above ground vegetation cover is in dead or dying state. Data from the ground-based inventory taken within the drone study identified 12.1% of the trees to be in critical or dead condition. Therefore, the drone data indicates a higher percentage of vegetation in dead or dying state when compared to the ground-based data. Additional information collected during the ground-based data provided a more detailed assessment of these areas, including 54.9% of the trees exhibited structural problems, 3.7% showed general stress or low vigor not attributed to pests or diseases, and 3.2% show signs of diseases. 26 trees are suspected to have sudden oak death. Less than 1% show symptoms of Polyphus shot-hole borer infestation, and less than 1% with the evidence of other pests such as sucking insects or defoliators. A tree may appear healthy to the human eye, but may still be experiencing stress, which can be made visible through the infrared red-edge spectrometry. Approximately 80% of the drone findings in Griffith Park were corroborated with the ground-based inventory. As well as doing tree health, we also surveyed the distance of the buildings to the border of our parks. As trees and other vegetation succumb to environmental and physiological stress, they leave behind highly flammable fuels that can facilitate the rapid spread of small and large fires. The wildland-urban interface, also known as WUI, is defined as an area where the built environment meets the natural environment and where there is infrastructure adjacent to or within natural areas that exhibit conditions favorable to wildfire. A total of 2,624 buildings are adjacent to Griffith Park's WUI, while 38.3% of the buildings are more than 1,000 feet away. 29.4% of the structures are within 100 feet. Some species found in Griffith Park's WUIs are highly flammable due to the traits mentioned earlier, the same ones: large amount of litter, ladder fuels, peeling bark, and the plant's oils and resins. In addition to fuel loads, factors affecting wildfire severity and outcomes include aspect, terrain, surrounding land cover, structures, and other sources of fuel and combustion. Wind and terrain coupled with high levels of dry fuel can result in wildfires that quickly accelerate to an unmanageable level, often causing widespread damage to life and property. Because drone imagery can detect more subtle tree signals, the use of this technology can be used as a valuable precursor to ground-based inspections. Vegetation health assessment maps can help prioritize tree management activities, including removals, structural pruning, irrigation adjustments, pest control, fertilization, and other alterations in maintenance. In addition, the imagery and data acquired from the drone assessment can help managers better understand and address fuel loads and fuel management related to wildfire risk. Locations with significant dead or dying vegetation should be further inspected to estimate the extent and severity of damage that would result from a potential wildfire. We also surveyed tree height in Griffith Park, invasive species. These are the species that we surveyed: castor bean, tree tobacco, acacia longifolia, tree of heaven, and black mustard. Areas consisting of diverse species, such as the drone study area, often pose challenging issues for tree species classification. Species identification through traditional tree inventories from field surveys can be time-consuming and lack the ability to cover large areas in a quick turnaround time. However, the increased availability of very high spatial resolution multispectral imagery coupled with ground truthing mechanisms provide a great opportunity for tree species mapping with levels of greater accuracy. Remote sensing methods, such as methods presented in this report, provide timely and detailed data at a temporal and spatial scale. Overall, 11.7% of the land in the drone collection area of Griffith Park can be described as having some predicted infestation of invasive vegetation. When developing goals to combat invasive species, land managers should analyze the type of natural assets currently on the preserve and prioritize how much each cover type in which they want to invest. The aerial imagery used as the base layer in the mapping included with the report provides the baseline data for future discussions relative to land management objectives. We also analyzed vegetation type with the drone analysis in Griffith Park, and as stated earlier, 44.2% are grass or low-lying vegetation, 39.6% are shrubs, and 16.1% are trees. We're very happy with our CAL FIRE grant. The inventory was finished early and under budget. We conducted a deeper dive into our inventory trees, performing risk assessments, invasive shot hole borer survey, and inspections of our heritage trees. We also did specific analysis of our golf courses, producing reports and a video. We're also starting to update our urban forestry manual. In conclusion, the City of Los Angeles Department of Recreation and Parks has a very successful CAL FIRE grant. We formed great partnerships and had much community involvement. We completed our inventory. We produced meaningful reports based on the best current and accepted scientific methods. We use cutting-edge technology to expand the limits of our data and analysis. As the project progressed, so did the technology, and we cast a wider net, gathering more meaningful information. We planted 691 trees, exceeding our 680 tree goal. And I'm really extremely proud that 2/3 of our trees were planted by volunteers at wonderful community events. And here's some of the pictures from some of those events. At the events, we also provided tree giveaways, a program financed by the City of Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. These are trees that community members can plant on their property. We had Smokey the Bear come out, local politicians, This is our partners in the Los Angeles Conservation Corps. Also want to share with you a video that we produced about our golf trees.
The golf course is a sanctuary. It's where you can go to get away, to clear your mind, whether you shoot low or barely break triple digits on a Saturday with your friends. There's always something about the course that keeps you coming back. Sometimes that something is the views. More specifically, the trees that breathe life into the course. They are often the main attraction when playing golf in Los Angeles. Trees provide extreme ecological benefits to LA's golf courses and the overall city, such as storing carbon monoxide, recycling oxygen, reducing erosion, providing critical habitats for wildlife, and reducing stormwater runoff.
Don't hit the tree. Don't hit the tree.
Oh man, that's a beautiful tree right there. Did you know that the trees on these courses produce 782.6 tons of oxygen annually?
Thanks, Michael.
Fun fact, there are 12,908 trees spread across LA City's 12 golf courses, and they provide an estimated 938.7 acres of canopy cover. Trees completely change how you play a hole. Their placement enhances the strategy needed in the game. It becomes chess instead of checkers. Those same trees that add complexity to your game also have significant ecological benefits. For instance, these trees store nearly 17,172 tons of carbon, CO2, in woody and foliar biomass, 953,702 gallons of intercepted stormwater and reduced runoff, 6.3 tons of air pollutants removed, reducing medical visits and costs resulting from adverse health effects caused by air pollution.
Did anybody else see my ball?
293.5 tons of carbon directly sequestered. So next time you're searching for your ball in the woods after a poor tee shot, stop and appreciate the trees.
Lost my ball.
They're trying to help. City of Los Angeles Golf. Play on.